So today we're talking about the reasons why you are not getting hired for the job or the internship that you want. And I could go on about this for days and days and days, but I'm gonna try to condense it for you guys and give it to you straight. Here is why you, yes, you are not getting hired. So please take in this information, soak it in, and at least consider it, because you always want to do things to make yourself a more appealing job or internship candidate. So here we go. Reasons you're not getting hired. Number one, you are just unprepared and unorganized. You have resumes saved in random files on your computer. They're saved weird. You don't know where your stuff is. You're taking a long time to get things to employers when they're requesting them. Take a minute and zip it all together very nicely. You want to make sure that you have one file folder on your computer, and in that file folder it has a few different versions of your resume, and all of the documents are saved as PDFs and saved very professionally, Lauren.Berger resume, and then I'd put the date so you remember which is the most updated. You want to make sure in this file that you have your cover letter saved, and again, make sure that you can easily access this. It'd be great if you can also sync your phone so that if you're on the go and an employer calls you and says, send me your resume, you can just press a couple buttons and send it right over to them. So the first is just be prepared. Get your life together. Come on, guys. This is the real world, and you want to be organized when you put your first foot into it. So another reason why you're not getting hired is because your resume and your cover letter are terrible. Terrible, you guys. You have to make sure that you take the time to customize your materials. Now, I hope you've watched our resume and cover letter videos. I'll make sure that we link all of them below. There's quite a few of them now, but make sure that your resume and your cover letter are customized for the position that you want. An employer can tell within 5 seconds if you've taken the time to customize your materials. If your resume goes on for days, if your cover letter is just blabbing away and not really going in any direction, you're not getting hired. You're not getting hired. Now, another reason you're not getting hired is because when you go in for the interview, you're not acting like you want the job, and you're not articulating why you can add value to the company. I've been doing a lot of interviews lately here at Intern Queen, and I think one thing that all of the people I'm interviewing are failing to do is they're not talking enough. They're not telling me why my life would be better, professionally speaking, with them in it. They're not showing me what they could really bring to the table. Oftentimes, I find that as the employer, I'm talking a lot because I want to make sure that these candidates know exactly what they're signing up for. So I go on and on and on about the responsibilities of the position. And if the candidate is just left kind of going, okay, and then when I ask them if the job fits what they're looking for, sometimes they don't give me that confident yes that I want to hear. So it's up to you, the job candidate, to articulate to the employer that you are the best person for the position and show that employer why they should hire you. You have to sell yourself, and if you don't, who's going to? The first interview I ever had after college, I went in there and it was at the talent agency, and I was interviewing to work for this agent, and one of the things he said to me was, do you want this position? And I said, yeah, I want the position. And from his perspective, I didn't look very excited, so he actually did not hire me. I learned from that, and in my second interview, when the woman said to me, do you want this position? I said, yes, and I will start tomorrow. But it's important to show that enthusiasm and let people know that this is it for you. This is the job that you want, because if they don't feel that enthusiasm, they'll go out there and they'll find someone who's a little bit more appreciative and more grateful for the opportunity. Now let's see, another reason why you're not getting hired is because you're not listening to me, the Intern Queen, and you're not sending that thank you note after the interview. As soon as you're done interviewing for a job or an internship, you send an email thank you note, just 3 or 4 sentences thanking the employer for their time, and then just because you want bonus points, you're gonna put a handwritten thank you note in the mail. This is something that the employer should get no more than a few days after the interview, and it should arrive by mail. So again, if you're not getting hired, one of the reasons why might be because you're not taking that extra step Another reason you might not be getting hired, let's go back to the interview for a second. The employer finishes their whole spiel on what the job is and what it entails, and they say the magic words, "Do you have questions?" And you say no. Don't do that. You have to ask the employer questions. Before you go into the interview, take a minute and write down, I would say 3 to 5 questions, just so you have questions to ask. You want to ask at least 2 questions that are relevant for the position that you're applying for at the end of the interview. I have not hired people, both interns and entry-level job applicants, because when I ask them if they have questions, they say no, and that scares me. If they don't have questions, that makes me feel like they weren't paying attention or they're not really into it. It makes me feel like they might not know what they're signing up for. So again, always make sure you're asking questions. And then the other reason that you're not getting hired might be because you're just not applying to enough opportunities. It's not enough to apply for one opportunity. You should be applying to 10, 20 opportunities at a time. It is competitive out there. So you have to make sure that you have a system in place, that you're blocking out the right amount of time to apply for positions, and you're constantly getting your stuff out there, getting your materials out into the world, because you never know what opportunity you're gonna find. So make me proud and go out there and get hired.